Доброго вечора, ми з України.
Hello, comrades, and welcome back to Ushanka Show, stories about everyday life in the Soviet Union. I'm your host, Sergei Sputnikov. Alright, so today we're gonna have so-called show and tell, just like they do in American schools. And I wanna show you, I think I showed this before, this is my diary that I kept from 1982 when I was 11. And this is the symbol of the 26th gathering of Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Big, thick, so that's like a planner, which I utilized for my diary. Because if you look at the page, just like in planners in America, they have like the most important things of the week. Make calls, write, meet, to do, and miscellaneous. And I just kept that to keep my diary. I believe it came from Paninka paper factory that my uncle worked when he took home a lot of different items that were manufactured, so-called Nisuni. And what I want to do today is to show you the evolution of my handwriting. If you follow my channel, you should know that I'm originally left-handy, but in the first grade, I was switched to the right hand. That was the rule back then. I think they quit doing it in Soviet Union sometimes in like mid-80s, but in the 70s, since we used a lot ink pen, they wanted the children to write with the right hand, because if you think about it, if you write from left to right, it's okay, but if you write from left to right with your left hand, you effectively smudge all your fresh ink. So I was forced. My teacher was helping me in school, and my mom was sitting next to me with the ruler, and every time I tried to switch hand, she will smack my hand. So I'm a lefty who writes with the right hand. So this is my Selsky Dnevnik, village diary. I kept it mostly in the village. I think it was important for me. That was my comfort zone, because I spent there my summer break away from school. The best time for any kid is the summer break, right? So I wanted to preserve memories, and then during a school year, I'll open my diary, kind of read it, and it, I relax, takes me back. So you see, it says Selsky Dnevnik. So I kept it from 1982 to 84, and then 85 all the way to 1990. So I started when I was 11, and I finished when I was 19. And also we went to Azov Sea on small vacation, I already talked about that a little bit, in 1985, a year before Chernobyl happened. And this is a picture someone took of me. It's me in the village. That abandoned room that I recently showed, was a table there, so I'm writing a diary. So that's probably sometimes around 1989, 1990. I don't look a kid. So I'll go through the pictures. And so this is my handwriting at age of 11. Of course, we had to write in cursive. And the next I'll show you pictures kind of close, and we just go through them. And you'll see that my handwriting was changing over the years. And I believe if you're lefty, your handwriting will be tilted towards left. So over the years, it was slowly turning other way towards the right. So I was becoming more and more righty. And it looks like back in 1982, age of 11, I already was, so it's a fourth grade. I already was, she says, I need to do something in the English language. And as I said, from 1982, he went all the way to 1990. And it says, there it is, over 150 pages and 8 years. And I probably will do more of this, because towards the end, I started doing illustrations. A lot of this, see, I've numbered the pages. Well, it's 180 pages. I started doing pictures. There was more English words used. But I thought it would be kind of interesting to show you how my handwriting actually changed. Like here, you see it's more printing, so that's what we're going to do today. And while we're still on the topic of show and tell, that was this one. I started actually even inserting illustrations. So here we're playing cards at the same table. Here, I remember a rumor that my grandpa hid a shotgun, so we destroyed the abandoned cellar and tried to find a shotgun. We failed. I wish we had a metal detector. But while on the topic of show tell, just also a couple of items I want to show you. This is the currency that I made, 1 ruble, 1 ruble. Number one, the only one I made. And it says the central bank of the village Zhovich. So that was the village, name of the village that I stayed. So that was that currency I made. Every time there's a rainy day, there's nothing to do. My grandparents didn't have a TV. So I'll be reading books and just drawing stuff. And this is I made in 1984. It's a lottery ticket. Commemorated to the anniversary of launching the first planner. So I think a friend of mine bought a kit to create that. So it's an airplane, but it doesn't have an engine, right? So it just can glider. Here you go, that's the word. So that's to the anniversary of launch the first glider. So we all together built it. So I was 13. We did it a year ago, so it's 83. So I decided for some reason to make these lottery tickets. We never actually did the lottery, but I think it's pretty neat handwriting here. So I had plenty of time. Cost of the ticket, 1 ruble. And that's hilarious. And I copied, I made 3 of those. So 3 with different serial numbers. So you could tell the kid had a lot of free time on his hand. That was probably a whole week of rainy days. Because that's probably at least 1 hour, if not more, for every lottery ticket to make them look exactly the same. And carefully write these printed letters. All right, so now we'll go through the pictures and kind of take a look at how my handwriting was changing. I thought it was kind of interesting. Okay, so this is the very first entry in my diary. It's from the June 1st, 1982. So in Soviet Union, school year started always on September 1st, the day of knowledge, and it ended always in the end of May, on the May 31st. So I guess if we check calendar, I didn't do it. My guess it was like a weekend in the end of the May, because I already managed to be in the village on June 1st. So we left right away after school was over. So it says I arrived to the village. I went with my friend Dima to the local lake called Kaluja, and we buried a treasury. So we had clod. So we buried that clod, and it was kind of funny story. Later, next day, we told a small kid, it was a younger kid, that we were gonna look for the treasure, and he wanted to join us. I mean, we actually wanted him to join, and we played this game like we've discovered this treasure, and there was some coins in each, like a matchbox that we buried, and a kid wanted his share, and we refused, so he went to complain to his mom, because he said it's not fair, we together found this treasure, but the guys didn't want to share. So that lady came to talk to us, and we had to explain that actually was a kind of little scam, that we buried the treasure and recovered, so we're not going to share our own money. So to see how the handwriting is, of course it's cursive, all letters connected, slightly tilted to the left. I don't know if anybody interested in learning how to write Russian cursive, but this is your example. And there's a funny note on the bottom right, says I need to write a letter to my dad when he brings butter to the village. So once again, my grandparents had a cow, but we still were bringing butter from the city to the village. And it says you need to bring butter in a glass jar, otherwise it will melt and will be a mess. Okay, now we jump into 1983, next year. As you see, my handwriting slightly changed. It's more like fuller, more rounder, right? And if you look at the first row, there's the word potom, later, and look at that elegant P letter. I really got it that nailed. Same with the letter V, which looks like English B on the fourth row next to the number 1400. Once again, we use in military time. Age of 12, I use military time, so-called. And next row below, the name Dimka. Once again, the letter D is quite curvy. So as you see, my handwriting already changing in 1 year. It's getting better, I think. And in 1982, I kept the diary only for a couple of weeks, and then I was so mad at myself. So that was like, I need to keep everyday record of what I was doing in the village, because I really wanted to read later. And so I was improving year after year, and then finally I kept like through the whole summer. Okay, now we're jumping into June of 1984. I was 13. I wonder how old you were back in 1984. This time I arrived to the village on June 6th. So instead of June 1st, I already missed a week. Not sure what was going on in 1984. And once again, my handwriting's changed a bit. It's still kind of more rounder, but it became shorter. My letter's not as tall as the previous year. And back in 1984, I think my grandfather passed away. So we took grandparents with us to Kyiv, and that's where he died from the pneumonia. I had a story about it a long time ago. If I find it, I'll put the link below this video. And it says that the yard was all covered with grass, that chicken coop was collapsed. So now my grandparents' house became pretty much like a summer home. So my grandma will stay with us in Kyiv over the winter because it was way too hard for her to keep house warm and, have firewood enough to go through the whole winter. So she will come to us in the Kyiv, stay in our apartment, and we go in the summer, and she will stay through the summer in the village. June of 1985. So that year was interesting. That was the only time when my family, the whole family, traveled down south to Azov Sea. So Ukraine had access to Azov Sea and Black Sea, and the Black Sea was kind of like more popular, better location for the summer vacation. But my dad managed to get Putyovka, a travel voucher, finally managed to get one at his place of work. So we went to this Dom Отдыха, this place of rest called Standard on the Azov Sea, and we spent there 10 days or so. So we arrived there on June 19, and it says at 7:30 in the morning we arrived on a bus called Kubana to this place of rest. We got a separate room at the first building on the second floor, room number 19. So those rooms had it was just a room. It had a bathrooms like for whole floor and the showers for the whole floor. So there were no conveniences in the room. It was just like a hotel room, more like hostel room without any conveniences. So that's where we spent 10 days. My handwriting didn't change much from the previous year, except I see slight tilt to the left. So the way the left is right. But I said that was a different summer. We spent 10 days at the Azov Sea, and then I went again to the village and spent the rest of the summer there. June of 1986, and its entry was done in Leningradsky region in a village or поселок they call it, so like a small town of Sertolovo. So you'll be kind of surprised why am I in the Leningrad region, but if you think June of 1986, just pretty much 2 months after Chernobyl power plant exploded. And I have videos about all that story, but I had to leave Kyiv and I couldn't go to the village because it was very close. The village was closer to Chernobyl power plant than Kyiv. So my parents sent me up north to Leningrad region, where I stayed with the grandmother of my friend, the guy I went to school together. So that's my entry from 1986. And I have a letter that I sent to my mom where I explain how we went through the train station in Leningrad, and they set up radiation monitors, and everyone who came from Ukraine had to go through monitors. And I triggered the alarm, and it was my shoes, and they told me when you get to your destination, bury your shoes. Yeah, that was ugly year, and that was the year of the World Soccer competition in Mexico. So that was all this crazy mixture. And of course, if you ever been in Russia, in Leningrad in June, that's when they have white nights. It never gets dark. So that was really hard to sleep at night because it was just pretty much like daylight, day and night. All right, moving along. July of 1987. We always crossed our sevenths. So if you look at the top, the seventh cross. Took me forever to quit doing it when I moved to the United States. I started doing little illustrations. So here we're exploding the glass bottle. Did a lot of that stupid stuff, and now I'm looking like those drawings actually not too bad, kind of basic, but I think pretty good cartoons. My handwriting, I noticed that my letters are not interconnected as much for being proper cursive. They started having spaces between in each word, still slightly tilted to the left, and I would say more confident. And I started changing some of my letters, like I write T not proper, and it's like, I don't know if you can read my handwriting. In the third row there is a word настоящий with the letter T one way, and next row потрепались, the T the old-fashioned way that looks like upside down W or sh in Russian. So this is 1987. I'm 16-year-old. 1988, summer of 1988. My first entry dates August 14. That's when I finally made it to village. 1988 was a really busy year for me, busy summer, because in 1988 I graduated from Soviet high school, finished my 10 years in school. So I had really challenging exit tests in high school, and right away I was doing entry exams, tests to be accepted to Kiev Polytechnical Institute. So my whole summer was wasted pretty much. I couldn't go anywhere, had to study a lot, and it was nerve-wracking. So finally I managed in the middle of August, so just had a little bit left to spend in the village and relax. And my handwriting changed drastically by now. I believe about a year prior in school, I made a decision to start switching to printing. So before it was pure cursive, then I decided, can't tell you why, that I need to start printing. They could drop that requirement to write in cursive. So this handwriting, I have a right angle now, quite noticeable, and as you see, it's more kind of like printing going on. So that will be just progressing from there on. My letter P in the second row is kind of interesting, the second line. Not as fancy as used to be. So yeah, this is, I'm 17. I'm already, what is that word? Freshman in Kiev Polytechnical Institute, and I raced to village to relax for a little bit. Welcome to July of 1989. I picked this page because of the illustrations. It was kind of funny. I definitely can tell you guys there's something seriously wrong with my head. I think it got better as I grew up, but as a kid, my entries a lot of times it's just so bizarre. Like we went fishing, and I will write down exactly what kind of fish and how many of which fish I caught. So here it says 21 sibel, which is verkhovodka. I don't know how to translate that type of fish into English. So I would write exactly what fish I caught in what amounts. That's pretty strange for a kid. And that's like from way back. And once again, we use similar to time. It says by the 2100 we went homes. Illustration, I watched the movie. So 1989, that's when we have video, Western Hollywood video started coming in. So I went and watched the movie The Rats. As you see, I misspelled rats. I wrote R-E-T-S instead of R-A, right? T-S. So this picture, there's the guy wearing glasses, which is me. So we're sitting by the wood-burning brick stove that I just showed recently a picture, and I'm telling my friend a story about that movie Rats, and he is horrified. So, and back to my handwriting, once again, it's changing. It's less accurate, like not really good looking as earlier, and it's changing. The letter B now kind of started having interesting form. And I think my D will started changing, but there's no letter D on this page. June of 1990. I'm 19 years old, almost 19 years old, because my birthday is in July. And here we arrived to the village in June 9 whole family. And once again, there's the interesting detail that we crossed the distance between Kiev and the village, which is 270 kilometers, and took us 5 hours 15 minutes. And I wonder how that happened that fast, because usually it took way longer. Maybe we had somebody bringing us in the car. That could be the case. Maybe my cousin, he had a car, and I think my dad helped him to fix it. Like they did, like capital repairs, they call it, kapitalny remont. And as a thank you, he took our family to the village. So I made sure I wrote down that it took us 5 hours 15 minutes to cover 270 kilometers. And here it's almost typing. So here's my handwriting at the age of 19. So huge difference from the kid in 1982, 8 years ago. And here that's that letter D, the first letter in the entry, сегодня. You see that D kind of like 6, but turned backwards. That's how I started writing D's. It's more printing, definitely. So it's kind of interesting just to kind of track this whole change in my handwriting over the years, from when I was basically 11 till I turned 19. And I didn't stop writing diary, but I stopped because this book was full. And then I just had other little books, notepads, where I kept still record of my adventures, and there it gets even more printier. I'll see if I'll find a couple and edit here. But it says 1990. Okay, so I found my other diary. As you see, this is just a regular, as you say, тетрадь notepad, and it's dated from March of 1991. We write dates differently in Europe, and first it goes day, then it goes month, then it goes year. So this is pretty much my printing, or hybrid printing. Almost everything letters are printed. And the interesting note on the top says, on February 23rd, I watched Arnold in Total Record. I was totally blown away and impressed with that movie. And for the very first time, I felt how great it would be to have my own VCR. So this is February 23rd, 1991. Comrade Sergey watched Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall, and I really like that movie. But yeah, this is pretty much the end of metamorphosis of my evolution of my handwriting, from what I had proper cursive back in 1982 to printing pretty much in 1991, almost 10 years later. Well, my friends, it's all I have for you today. I know this video is a little bit different, but I hope you still liked it. So if you did like it, please don't forget to like this video, maybe share, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye.
Andres Romero Laguna. Jorge Torres.
My name is Erin Stoffel. I'm from Canada.
Hello, my name is Mr. Jewish. I'm from Lebanon.
Good morning, my name is Zachary. I'm from
My name is Sarah Lalahan, I'm from Boston.
Good morning, my name is Alan Moore. I'm from Canada.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Mikhail. I'm from Bulgaria.
Hello, my name is Miguelina Fuentes, and I am from Mexico.
Hi, my name is Rosa Umerovich. I'm from Bosnia.
Hi, my name is Emir Bolotovic. I'm from Bosnia.
Hi, my name is Mayra Durakovic, and I'm from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Hi, my name is Fatima Kenik. I am from Bosnia.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Kanik and I'm from Bosnia.
My name is Dino Poet and I'm from Bosnia.
Hi, my name is Benedict and I'm from Bosnia.
Hi, my name is Linda Cloud, and I'm from Canada, and I can vote!
Hi, my name is Maricela Pasquale, and I'm from Mexico.
Hi, my name is Sylvia Hernandez, and I'm from Guatemala.
Hi, my name is Ali Ushanka, and I'm from Latvia. And I have waited years to become a citizen. And I'm proud today to become a citizen with tears to my eyes.
Hi, I'm Carmela Robles from Philippines.
I'm Jeffrey, I came from Ukraine.
Morning, I'm Rick Northup from Canada.
Good morning, this is Executive from India.
Good morning, this is Mahesh Nekhani, born in India.
Now I'm going to ask all of our new citizens to please stand and raise your right hand, and I will administer